all know that Meghan is using a new trick. Instead of directly whining and whining and whining like before, now she's just using the people around her to speak for her. Meghan's new spokesperson, Melissa McCarthy, is constantly speaking out and defending Meghan, even though she doesn't really give any specific evidence. So let's find out more in this video. Hello and a very warm welcome to the Queen channel. There could be many of you who don't really know about Melissa McCarthy. I'd say count yourselves lucky. So in the past, she was pretty popular, but I gotta admit, my respect for her went to absolutely zero when she and Meghan made fun of the late Queen as she was dying. I can never forget that image of her deliberately wearing a beautiful dress and a cabbage hat, as if she were mocking the late Queen's other nickname. It was disgusting. And it seemed like Meghan and McCarthy stopped being friends, but oh, of course not. Recently, she's been speaking up to protect and promote Meghan Markle's new scam jam in a really absurd and phony way. So Melissa McCarthy is a somewhat talented actress, emphasis on somewhat, and she got some success in the business. But her expiration date was a long time ago. Melissa McCarthy has now joined the ranks of never-wases and has-been that Hollywood chews up and spits out on a regular basis. And now I guess she's trying to hang on to some type of fame by sucking up to an admitted fraud, somebody who scammed and schemed her way into the royal family by way of their most disturbed member. So Melissa McCarthy has decided to side with evil by being friends with Meghan Markle. And what Melissa McCarthy is saying about Meghan is absurd. She cannot understand why there's so much criticism aimed at Meghan. She even said that people felt threatened because Meghan Markle might turn out to be successful. Meghan hasn't done anything to find success. I mean, what world are they living in? Why on earth would anybody feel threatened by Meghan? She cannot do anything successfully on her own. The life that she has is because of her husband and the royal family. If she never met Harry, we wouldn't know her name. I also can't help but wonder, are they really friends? I mean, is Melissa really a friend to Meghan when she doesn't seem to comprehend what her supposed friend did? Harry and Meghan are incredibly obnoxious. They annoy me more than people who put empty juice cartons back in the fridge or people who use the rest of the toilet paper and don't bother replacing it. Melissa McCarthy must be very desperate for publicity if she's hanging around the likes of Meghan. The fact that Melissa McCarthy said everybody should just leave Meghan alone tells us she's not only delusional, she's also a hypocrite. I mean, if Meghan Markle would leave other people alone, if Meghan would stop telling lies and stop trying to rewrite history, if Meghan would stop shoving her PR down our throats, then nobody would criticize her. It's also important to remember that from the beginning, people really welcomed Meghan. The royal family welcomed her with open arms, and they gave her so many privileges. But it was because of Meghan's nasty personality and her horrible attitude that everything was taken away from her. People do not criticize Meghan because of her skin color or her ethnicity. She has said that she's been discriminated against, but the reality is Meghan herself discriminates against other people. Meghan has a big race problem with herself. She insulted all people of color when Meghan said that she had to learn how to be black. For most of her life, Meghan Markle denied her black heritage. She used her white privilege. And it didn't even stop there. Melissa stood up for Meghan, saying that people are just picking on her because she's a woman. But she did not call out Meghan for the way she has repeatedly bullied Catherine. So Melissa, you are obviously a hypocrite, just like your bestie Meghan. I mean, she is not even all that talented, and it looks like she is as desperate for publicity as Meghan is. The recent op-ed from her about Meghan really cemented my opinion. Melissa saw a great opportunity to be mentioned. She is a disgusting woman, and any decent person wouldn't want that in their company. But see, with Meghan, it's perfect because they are cut from the same cloth. They don't have any manners, they have no boundaries, and they really hate themselves. That's what makes them so evil towards other people. People often say the best way to judge somebody is to look at their friends. Well, if we look at Meghan Markle, we can come to some pretty good conclusions. I think Melissa should be careful, though. I don't think it's a good idea to be buddying up to Meghan Markle. It looks to me like both of them are using each other. Meghan, though, has always been infamous for taking advantage of other people and then throwing them away once they're no longer useful. So one day you're an ally and the next day you're an enemy. Looking at the way Melissa risked everything to stand up for Meghan, I found it pathetic and also a bit funny. She seemed to just be blind to everything Meghan had done to say that Meghan is a smart, interesting woman with her own life. If that's true, why is she so desperate for attention all the time? And why does she feel the need to lie and say horrible things about both her and Harry's families? I think her worst fault is that she wasn't humble enough to just be a working royal, to just fall in line like everybody else. She's also not talented enough to be a successful actress. Just look at how Meghan tries her best to look attractive. I mean, Harry and Meghan have been tossed out of a few A-lister parties that they recently crashed. People have started to stand up to her and tell her no. So why is Melissa McCarthy defending her like that? Melissa needs to come back down to earth and live in the real world. Nobody is threatened by Meghan because she's smart, intelligent, and successful. But people can understand the difference between somebody who is a manipulative liar and who will trash other people to make money. That is the best way to describe this case of Meghan Markle. In my opinion, Meghan really needs to reconsider her strategy of using other people to whine on her behalf. It's never been successful, and it's really counterproductive, actually. Everybody can see Meghan is the one behind these phony statements. I mean, what happened in the past, we're not going to forget so easily. It's still the cringy things that people remember when we're talking about Meghan. It's going to be very difficult for her to make herself seem interesting and attractive. Meghan needs to accept that the gravy train came to a screeching halt as soon as she dragged Harry away from his family. Everything now has become clear. Neither Harry nor Meghan really have an easy life at this point, but it's their own fault. Nobody else made this happen. If you look at Harry before Meghan entered his life, he was a bit lost. I think he's always been a bit lost. He was just kind of drifting from one thing to another after his time in the service. The royal family went out of their way to help him. They did all the groundwork. So he was allowed to be in charge of Invictus, and it seemed to fit well among other things that they were encouraging him to do. So they were relieved, but unfortunately that relief was short-lived. The point is, Harry was always going to be a concern, and Meghan really encouraged this difficult part of his personality. Now it looks like he is just as bad as she is, and he's probably always been that way. He's always been a bit wild and difficult to control, and I think maybe in the beginning they were happy that Meghan came into his life, hoping that she would be able to do a better job of controlling him and help him find his real purpose in life. Well, obviously, she kind of did that, but not in the way the family had hoped. I do wonder, too, how Harry feels about Meghan and Melissa's behavior. Now, at that time, the Queen was still living when they did that disgusting mockery of her. Melissa and Meghan Markle were trying to make people laugh, I guess, but they only made themselves laugh. They were so insulting. They were so rude. How could Harry tolerate that kind of disrespect towards his own family? It was such a disgrace. And, if this was during Henry VIII, they would have wound up in the Tower. It was like Harry was totally brainwashed by Meghan and Doria. I think he didn't have any opinions anymore of his own, and I think it's still like that. So Harry should really worry about the day that eventually Meghan dumps him, because it's going to happen, and he's going to be completely lost. He has lost himself in this relationship. So remember, in 2023, Harry and Meghan were called the biggest failures of the year. And it seems like this year they're going to continue all these failures. I can understand Meghan failing at launching a brand just for PR purposes, but we've just gotten sick and tired of these projects that always fail. We just hear about them and then nothing comes of them. The Pearl series, Meet Me at the Lake, the Lemonada podcast, being cast in some film or some TV show. What about the 40 by 40 initiative? Oh, we also heard about the Oscars, the Met Gala, the Super Bowl. Again, they didn't show up to any of these events. So Harry and Meghan are a couple of failures, and it's becoming dull at this point in time. It's just so repetitive. But anyway, back to Melissa McCarthy. What is wrong with her? Why has she decided that she needs to support Meghan like that? Shame on her. She certainly picked the wrong woman to be supportive of. It seems like she's trying to hitch her star to a loser again. On some level, I feel a little bit sorry for her, but not really, because I think she's probably just as nasty as Meghan is. And when did she start to think that Meghan was so great and wonderful? Was it when she was a zealous mattress actress? Or was it when she got that Duchess title? Or was it when Melissa realized there was a chance of getting her name mentioned in the media? She cannot be that dumb. There has to be some motive behind this. So Melissa's telling us that she wants everybody to leave Meghan alone. But Harry and Meghan are free to write a book trashing the royals, make a documentary trashing the royals, do interviews, and put out all these puff pieces about themselves. It is ridiculous that they just can't help themselves. They cannot stop trying to attack the royals. I mean, that has been Meghan Markle's business plan from the very beginning. Perhaps Meghan misspoke when she said she wanted to modernize the royal family. She really meant monetize, and of course, she wanted to make sure she could get another rung up the social ladder. I mean, everybody else jumped on the bandwagon for their own reasons, be it anti-monarchy or race baiting or whatever their cause may be. It's such a good thing, though, that Meg's had happened. Just think of how bad it would have been if Meghan stuck around longer in the royal family. She would have tried to cause even more damage. She's way too self-absorbed. She's way too self-centered. She never could have dedicated her life to service. She only cares about serving herself, making money, getting more famous. Meghan came in, and then she and Harry snuck off like thieves in the night. Her constant attacks against the royal family as they continue to show kindness and stayed silent have really exposed her as what she is. She's a bully. How many lies has she told, accusing the press and the people of Britain of being racist? She's such a disgrace. And now, of course, she's not popular, except, of course, among her sycophants. Now, one thing these people have in common is they are nasty, they are malicious, and they are aggressive. So, of course, they would be big fans of Meghan. It doesn't seem like Melissa has a lot going on in that head of hers. Meghan Markle is not an independent woman, come on. She is squeezing every last dime from those royal titles while continuing to trash the monarchy. I mean, without the titles, she would go back to being a nobody. At this point, I cannot understand why any celebrities would want to align themselves with the gruesome twosome. It just makes them look foolish. Harry and Meghan are liars, they're hypocrites, and they have made fools of themselves time and time again. I think choosing to be a volunteer to represent Meghan Markle is a very risky move indeed. And really, it's not even a new trick of Meghan and Harry's. This is the kind of thing they do all the time. I'm sure that Meghan herself wrote those comments that supposedly came from Melissa McCarthy about Meghan. Because the words she used to describe her simply don't. I mean, awesome, smart, wonderful, interesting, inspiring. Meghan loves to use those words to describe herself. She uses them in her own word salad speeches and in interviews too. And, didn't Meghan's 5 friends, the one who supposedly spoke with people, use the same over-the-top language? Well, I think we know where this is coming from. It's the same BS. Whether it's from the Minions or Scooby-Doo or Boozy or whoever, it's always the same nonsense coming from their mouths, all singing from the same hymn sheet, and not one of them ever comes up with anything creative to say. I guess, though, Melissa and Meghan do have a lot in common. Neither of them have any manners. They don't have any class. Haven't they both done pretty well, though? I cannot imagine living such a fake existence where you have to plan out every little detail so that you can pretend to be somebody you're not. So much wasted energy. Seems to me like being disingenuous is a whole lot of work. I mean, beyond Doria, Meghan Markle's black side of the family has never made a statement about her. Their silence tells us all we need to know. I think she's a pariah to them. And I'm sure they've had plenty of offers coming in, and they've turned them all down. So good for them. They need to distance themselves from Meghan as much as they possibly can. And I do wonder, are any of them going to be lucky enough to get one of Meghan's 50 jars of jam? I suspect if they don't bring any value to this PR trip, they're never going to be spoken about. After all, that's what Meghan does to her supposed friends and her family. And maybe this is the way to revive Meghan's dying brand. I mean, she's going to try it. Meghan was in such a rush to try and overshadow Prince William and the Diana Awards, so that's why she put out this launch before she had any business doing so. She still hasn't even secured a trademark, and she didn't even think to secure the other domain names. It does make her look foolish. I mean, this is a woman who claims that she pays such close attention to detail and she's so intelligent. And I love the fact that King Charles's Highgrove jam has already sold out. And the UK and Canada domain names are both raising money for charity. I mean, God, we couldn't make this stuff up. Meghan Markle has tried her best to get a buzz going with these 50 jars of jam, and she has failed big time. I mean, she doesn't even have anything available for sale on the site. So why is she setting up this brand anyway? It makes no sense. Honestly, I guess the half-baked nature of American Riviera Orchard demonstrates a couple of important aspects of her narcissism. She's lazy, she's self-absorbed, she's not willing to work hard for anything, and that's why she's going to fail time and time again. It's not because people are jealous of her, it's not because people feel threatened by her, like Melissa said. I believe someday Melissa is going to come to regret standing up for this narcissist. There are many people who don't understand what they're capable of, but in the end they find out. Melissa is a very simple woman, and she believes that Meghan is going to be there for her, going to be her BFF4E. I mean, who wants to be friends with Meghan? Anybody who does, they're just as bad as she is, and we've seen this for ourselves on so many occasions. So it's important not to act like you know everything and don't automatically read the words in the script that somebody else wrote for you. If Harry and Meghan just went away to enjoy their private lives with their kids, nobody would fault them for that. They've got more money than most of us could ever dream of having. What is unforgivable, though, is that Netflix mockuseries and also the disrespect and the lies that we saw in it. And what about Harry's book and the media coverage and the interviews? Meghan Markle is obsessed with fame and adulation. She wants everybody to love her, to admire her. She wants everybody to accept her narrative of victimhood. Her behavior towards her family, especially her father, is disgusting. It's evil. I do not believe that Meghan Markle is a naturally beautiful person, and that's because inside she is so ugly. See, normal people, good people, put their families first, and they would never treat their parents like Meghan has with her father. And evidently, she told so many lies to Harry to get where she is today, and she doesn't want her cover to be blown. She showed no respect whatsoever towards the late Queen, and she didn't want to follow protocol. She really thought that she could push William and Catherine out of the picture in the line of succession. It's insane, especially considering the way the Prince and Princess of Wales act. They have not stooped to the lows that Harry and Meghan stay at all the time. Instead, they just quietly soldier on with all the adversities they've been facing. The only thing left to do is remove the titles and all royal patronages too, including Invictus. I'm sure Meghan's going to try to rip off the charity with her expenses, and I don't believe 1 second she should be there at the games. It would be interesting if it's proven that she really didn't carry those kids in the womb. I'm sure she didn't. There are so many inconsistencies with the pregnancy stories. I was a lot younger than her when I had kids, and there's no way I would have been squatting down in those positions that late in my pregnancy. I do hope that one day the truth is exposed. I would love to hear from Meghan's previous partners as well about how she acted as a partner, including all the friends that she abandoned. There are just so many problems with those two that need to be resolved. And I think one day, the ex-friends and the henchmen that Meghan Markle used are going to stand up and they're going to tell the truth about Meghan. Does she have any plans to deal with that? Because it's going to happen. The only plan I see Meghan working on is trapping Harry and leaving the royal family. That wedding was a PR job to buy Meghan a place in Hollywood as the next Oprah, as a global influencer, by shunning her real family members and inviting a bunch of A-listers instead. And Meghan stood on the shoulders of British taxpayers and all over everybody with her plotting for global status, global power, and fame. I also believe all of this was planned before they even got married, and that's why Oprah went to visit them before they got married. Remember how she was so shocked at how tiny Nottingham Cottage was? Oh, poor Meghan. They were already planning that interview, I am sure of that. Meghan Markle never intended to stay. She wanted those titles. She was going to grab the titles and run. She figured with that title, she would finally be accepted in the A-lister circle she was desperate to be a part of. She would finally be recognized in Hollywood. And stupid Harry just fell for all the lies and all the victim stories. He was obviously too dumb to understand that Meghan was the one leaking everything to the media. So I don't know about you, but in light of all this, I'm happy to just be an ordinary common person because at least we can read people like Meghan. I mean, you just got to have good character to see what she's all about. And to have good character, well, you need to be able to see good behavior and good intentions. And if somebody values good character, well, we can see Meghan Markle has a really poor character, but not Melissa, obviously. She has done herself no favors by trying to help somebody like Meghan. And eventually she's going to find herself markled like all the rest, and she won't be welcomed in Hollywood. You know what happens if you lie down with dogs? You're going to get up with fleas. Meghan is such a leech, though. I mean, she just sucks the blood out of anybody who associates with her. Meghan's reputation is already ruined. She's a lost cause, but she's going to ruin other people's reputations. So Melissa McCarthy, Kardashians, other people are going to learn their lesson before they realize it. And soon enough, these connections are going to run into some serious problems. Maybe that will be the time when we see the big fights, when the controversies break out and everything is exposed. Until that day, though, I'm afraid we're still going to have to watch the phony drama from this army of Meghan lovers. It's not an easy thing to watch, but at least we can laugh at it. And that brings us to the end of this video. What do you think about Melissa McCarthy? Please discuss this with us by commenting. If you agree with my opinion, please leave a comment, and if not, please let me know your opinion so that we can better understand. Don't forget to like and share this video. Your support is our motivation. And don't forget to subscribe to receive notifications about the newest videos. We'll be back soon. Thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.